Owen had always been eager to unravel mysteries that piqued his curiosity. He was a well-known researcher in the field of paranormal phenomena and had long immersed himself in the study of strange and mystical events that people had witnessed, always rejecting simple explanations. His goal was to find scientific explanations for all these enigmas. However, one day he came across a story that changed his life. It was the story of a strange house located on the outskirts of a small town, wrapped in dark legends and eerie rumors. The house was famous for its terrifying reputation among the locals. They claimed that the building was cursed, and anyone who approached it would encounter mysterious and frightening events. Even during its early years, unexplained incidents had occurred here. A family who had lived in the house disappeared without a trace, leaving only emptiness behind. The locals believed that this family had paid a high price for staying in this place, and thus no one dared to approach the house again. Of course, John, as a researcher of paranormal phenomena, could not ignore such a mystery. Gathering the necessary equipment for the investigation and collecting all available materials about the area, he set out for the town to personally assess the situation and attempt to unravel the secret of this house. On his way, he felt a growing sense of unease, but his determination was unshakable. He was ready for anything. When he arrived, the weather suddenly changed. Clouds hung low, and it became significantly colder. The wind howled through the trees, and an oppressive silence filled the air. The feeling that something was wrong did not leave him. As soon as John approached the house, his heart began to race. It was as if his intuition was telling him that this place was not just forgotten, but was a warning from everything that lurked in the darkness. The house looked abandoned and neglected. The walls, covered with a thick layer of dust, seemed unfriendly, and the windows were shut, adding an even more sinister look to the building. Decades of neglect had clearly taken their toll. John slowly entered, immediately feeling the cold seep into every cell of his body. The air was thick, as if it itself was drawing in dark energies, reminding him of the tragic events of the past. Inside the house, there was no one. The silence was so deafening that even the faintest sounds, like footsteps or the rustling of old papers, seemed incredibly loud. John ventured down the hallways, searching for any clues that might explain what had truly happened in this place. And he did find something interesting. In a large room covered in cobwebs, he noticed an old book that looked almost new. It lay on the floor as if waiting for him. John opened it and immediately realized that this was no ordinary book. Its pages were old, but they contained numerous mysterious notes and scribblings that seemed familiar. As it turned out, the book contained his own research, which he had conducted over many years, but he had no idea how they had ended up in this book. Moreover, the notes were written in someone else's hand. A sense of unease immediately overwhelmed John, and he realized that this house was not just an old forgotten place. It was connected to him on a deeper level. Something was watching him, or perhaps even manipulating his research. Suddenly, the door behind him slammed shut. John tried to open it, but it was locked. He felt a rising panic but remained calm, trying to find a way out of the situation. The more he tried to understand what was happening, the more he seemed to sink deeper into the house's darkness. All his thoughts, all his research seemed futile. Something invisible was absorbing his mind, as if the house itself was curious to see how far he would go for this mystery. John began to investigate every room, searching for an exit, and in each one, he found new notes that not only related to this house, but also to his own research, which strangely coincided with his recent writings. The house seemed to be following his every move, altering his actions, changing the reality around him. He could no longer tell what was real and what was just a product of his imagination. Time and space began to warp. Each attempt to escape only deepened his fear. Gradually, John began to understand that his research had taken on a different scale. He had become trapped, and the only way to save himself was to unravel the true nature of the house. But even that seemed impossible, as every step he took led him to even greater secrets hidden among the shadows of this abandoned place. The house was not merely a physical structure, it was alive, consuming, and manipulative. The more John tried to solve the mysteries of this place, the more he felt it absorb his own identity, turning him into part of something much larger and more terrifying than he could have ever imagined. Eventually, John realized that this riddle lay right